Hello, my YouTube friends. My name is Adam Kahn, and this is my Dividend Retirement Journey. I hope everybody's doing well, having a great Friday. It is so beautiful out here in Las Vegas. Anyway, you are not going to believe the dividend stock that I added to my set it and forget it account today. It really kind of makes no sense, but for some reason it popped into my head. I went with it, and we're going to talk about that in today's video. Now, as always, anything discussed in the videos is not financial advice. I am not a professional financial advisor, so please don't listen to me, especially today, because when I think about what I bought, I feel like I must be out of my mind. And I'm not really being sarcastic. Anyway, when you guys are doing your investment decisions, you have to do your own research. I do this stuff just for entertainment purposes, to discuss my ideas, get my thoughts out there, because primarily, my wife doesn't want to listen to me talk about stocks all the time, and I like housing and markets and investing. It's just what I've always enjoyed, even since I was a kid. Big nerd, like it's kind of funny. So let me tell you what I invested in first, and then we'll get to why and what was going on and what was going through my head. And that is ticker symbol WEN, Wendy's. Now, the reason I think I must be nuts is this seems like a dying business. Like when I drive past their restaurants, they aren't super busy. But you know what? Their trailing earnings are decent. They're paying a dividend of over 7%, and they make enough money to be able to afford it. Now, they're projecting this year's sales to be not as good as last year, so that essentially they're going to make enough money to pay the dividend, and that's about it. But the weird thing is, part of what made me start thinking about it is they've been marketing and doing this commercial out here, and I think the commercial is fantastic. I know that sounds like a really stupid reason, but Wendy's has been around a long time, and I don't think this is a where's the beef type of moment, but they started doing these chicken tenders. They're calling them tendies. The commercial is really cute, and I think it's going to drive business to their franchises or their stores. I think they're franchises. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, the fact that they're already making enough to be able to pay the dividend, and they project that next year they'll do a little bit better, they do see some growth. I just only say it because I'm not so sure I would follow me in this, and I bought a very small percentage. Now, why would I even do that? Well, if I can find things that are outside of my goal range, meaning my goal is to find stocks paying about 4 to 6% in dividends, to be able to hit what I'm hoping to get in terms of annual income, to be able to pay our bills, set things up for my wife in the future where she doesn't have to worry about a lot of things and she can just budget accordingly. And if I can add something that's getting a little bit over a 7% yield that I see some risk in, I don't want to put a big enough amount of it in that it actually will impact anything in case something goes wrong with the pick. And Wendy's fits that category. Like, there is some risk in it. There is an ability that it won't perform, and they'll end up having to cut the dividend, or the price will fall. There are issues. But when I look at a chart over the past year, essentially the stock has fallen from $15 to $7.50. And if I open it wider and go to a 5-year chart, the reality is it's fallen from about $22 a share. I'd have to dig into the earnings a little bit and the research to see if they've fallen off the past few years. But again, it's kind of a weird investment because I don't see them as this thriving, wonderful business. It's also why I make the little disclaimer of you need to do your own research. I don't know that I would follow me into this. I just put on a small enough bet that I'm not super concerned. And my hope is over the next 3 years, those commercials work really well. The stock drifts higher. I get my 7% dividend, and I will eventually get out of it. Now, I know I put it in my set it and forget it account, but unfortunately, Wendy's is just not a company that I've super faith in, that they're going to turn the ship around and become a real competitor. I think McDonald's owns that space, and disclaimer, I have a little bit of McDonald's that I've owned for 38 years or something like that, or 40 years, that I really don't pay attention to, that I leave it in this thing that it does automatic dividend reinvestment, and we're not talking about McDonald's today. But with Wendy's, I just don't see them really thriving. but I do think these commercials could help the business a little bit, start boosting things, get people excited about it, which could help to get a return in terms of the equity and the value of the company. And if they're able to pay that dividend, that fits right in my realm and hopefully boost that little bit of 4 to 6% range, just a little bit extra to kind of push me over the edge. Now, I also want to talk about the State of the Union as well as AI. And forgive the political rant, but I am not going to talk about I like this one or that one. This is really center of the road type of stuff and just disappointment in our entire system. So Trump set everybody up when he talked about, stand if you love Americans and you think that they should come first over illegals. Like every time there's a State of the Union, the new thing is if you're Republican and it's a Democratic president, that you don't cheer, you just sit and you kind of have your own pseudo protest, and vice versa. If there's a Republican president, you don't stand or cheer or anything else, you just kind of sit there and be silent. Well, they know this. So when Trump did that question, he kind of figured that would be the response. It gives him an opportunity to talk about how disgusting the other side is. And I can't tell you how disgusted I am in both sides. One, you shouldn't be setting each other up. Two, like I think of when I was a kid and we did the Pledge of Allegiance, united under God, indivisible, with liberty for all. Like the whole thing. It's not like somebody has to go in who's middle of the road and be a moderator who says when the president comes in, whether they are Republican or Democrat, you stand up and you clap. If you can't behave like an adult, then don't come, and really you shouldn't be part of the process. It shouldn't matter whether the president is Republican, Democrat, in between, but out of respect, you should clap. On top of that, you shouldn't yell and scream and try to take over their platform at their speech. That's totally out of line. Like, where are the adults? These are not children. This is not third grade, but everybody who's getting into politics now behaves like a child, which is why I think they need somebody to come in that's like the teacher for the Congress and the Senate. You guys need to behave, and you need to behave like adults, because as a country, you don't want to be in a situation where nobody has respect for anybody, which is what's going on. Nobody respects the president. Nobody respects the politicians. They all think they're idiots. Well, unfortunately, it seems to be working. Their wallets are getting bigger and their mouths are getting louder, but they're really not doing the best for the people. They're doing the best to make themselves rich, which is not what it should be. It should be people who can afford to take these jobs, whose real goal is to do what's best for the people. And, maybe I'm just too much of an idiot and don't really get it, because I think it's changed so much and I don't see it ever going back. It's just so sad and disappointing. It's a little bit of why I think about moving out of the country. Now, realistically, these problems happen everywhere. But if I were somebody else, I'm so uninvolved and unaware, especially if I don't speak the language and it's a new place. It's like the politics won't really impact my thought process. But here in the US, I get so disappointed with all of it that I just want them all to get yelled at. They need to be put in the corner or sent to detention for the bad behavior. The other thing is, to make it clear with me, I am not tired of winning. There is no Mr. President, Mr. President, I'm so tired of winning, I can't take it anymore. I would like to win as often as possible, just so it's clear, because I would hate for things to transform where I'm no longer winning because there's some thought process that I'm tired of winning. Just a little notation to some of the things that were discussed. Either way, like I said, I don't mean to rant and rave. This is my platform, so I talk about whatever is on my mind. And I've been watching all these videos talking about how disrespectful it was from the Democrats, but keep in context that is how both parties have behaved. In the past, if Biden was speaking, then the Republicans would not get up. They would just stay in their seats and they wouldn't clap. So it's why I say, like, it was a total setup. The fact that they fell for it is even more pathetic. Like, how could they not be even listening to what he said, to think of how bad it would look to not stand when he, like, all of them are such little children. Guys, if anybody is in politics, happens to come across, along with my 68 subscribers, which thank you, by the way, that is not sarcastic, like, stop it. It's so embarrassing. The same way I would like smack my kid on the butt or something, you guys need a smack on the butt to grow up and behave like adults and stop creating the hatred that's out there. Come to these agreements, be respectful of each other, and my God, respect your president, whether you like him or not. And if you can't, then do what they suggest and don't go. Like, that's fine too. But to go and be disrespectful is just an embarrassment for you and all of us. And getting screen time for your constituents is just so terrible. Anyway, back to stocks a little bit. Now, three other stocks that I will be adding, I just haven't yet because I have the portfolio set up the way I want it to be in some ways, and I don't want to overtrade it because it really is a set it and forget it account. The only reason I've been making transitions in it is my goal to move towards dividends. So it's weird that I actually have some of the stocks already, which is MLPA and then Hess Midstream, which are both kind of overlaps, but HESM, that I bought in my trading account because I like the dividends that they're currently paying. And if it drifts higher, I will be too annoyed at myself that I didn't pick it up when I did. And then as well, another one I've talked about in other videos, which is MTN, which is Vail Resorts. Those three I've already purchased, but I have them in my trading account. I haven't rotated it out, moved it into the set it and forget it account because I am waiting until I see the prices I want, or I get taken on the calls that I've sold on the growth stocks to be able to free up the capital to buy it in that account and rotate it out of the others. The thing is, I could just do it because I've put some cash on the sideline, but I don't want to utilize that money, and it makes sense for me right now to just leave it the way it is, leave it in the trading account, but at least have the positions on, or a percentage of them. So like I said, if the stocks drift higher. Now, with those three, two of them I have too small a position. Hess Midstream and MLPA, I like those dividend payments. I would put more than what I've put in. But, you got to wait until you free up the cash to do it. Anyway, anybody who's listened this far, do me a favor, put in the comment section what you guys think of Wendy's. Also, let me know if there's anything you've been buying out there. I really appreciate the ones who have and the conversations we've had. It's been pretty cool, and that was kind of what I was saying about why I've rotated to the new channel. I enjoy the small community. I like that I actually have time and I respond to the comments. I probably make about $10 to $30 on a good month on the other one, so I'm super not concerned about how much money could be made on YouTube. What I do is I do it for my enjoyment. I like finding other people who enjoy investing. I have no plans to sell a book or this or that. Like, somebody made a comment, and it's how I felt too. Like, even the people I enjoy, they start to gravitate towards selling some course or something else. That is just not my goal here. It really is just to have a community of people who like to invest, who kind of talk back and forth about the things that we're looking at, and kind of geared towards dividends probably. I'm perfectly capable of looking for growth stocks, and I tend to look for what's right under my nose with that stuff. I don't reach too far for the next big thing. I try to just stick with the big Mag 7 type of companies, and I think that I'm buying them when they're a little bit discounted. I mean, I love Meta here. I love Amazon here. That is my biggest trade in my trading account, but I'll talk about that on the other channel, and we'll stick with dividends here. Tuesday, 11 o'clock. I should be able to do it again this week. 11 o'clock Pacific time. If you've made it this far, please do me a favor. Try to make it to the live. I get it. The time sucks. It just fits my schedule. So I know that for a lot of people, whether you're at work or you live somewhere else and it's the middle of the night, I apologize that the time sucks for everybody else. So it is what it is. But anybody who can make it, I really like that platform. I like that you can comment right then and there and I can respond. Also, keep in mind, I tend to do that inside where I have my computer. So anybody who has a question about a stock or they want me to look at it, I can pull it up. I look at the chart. I'll look at the PE ratios and the cash flows and things like that, and at least give you an idea of my thought. I like maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. It is not financial advice. Like, I always say that because not only is it not financial advice, I talk about this a lot as well. Making investment decisions is very personalized. For example, and I'll do the extremes on purpose. I know somebody who's been doing like these reviews of people's investments, and he took one, and the guy only had 5 stocks. They were all tech stocks, and they all could be a little bit risky, but if that's somebody who's under 25 years old and knows that about the account and says, look, I have a really long time horizon, I make really good money, I'm able to put away in other things that are a little bit more safe, but that is my account to try to hit it out of the ballpark, then it might make sense. It may not make sense for me. Maybe you don't fit that specific category, but once you have to decide, boy, I say some stupid stuff. If I actually put in those little things, I'll put that Chris Farley one, like what I'm saying right now, like shows that I'm such an idiot. But I haven't. I've just anyway. Um, but you have to decide the goal of your money. Like, there's nothing wrong with taking a shot and buying something that is going to, maybe go out of business, but could hit it really big. Now, for me personally, when I take those shots, it's for like a tiny amount of money that I I don't care if it goes to zero. I'm content making those shots. Like I've done it with Hims and I've done it with some others. I did it with Oklo and it worked out really well. But sometimes it works out really poorly, which is why I talked about him. In fact, I thought of a video topic. Forgive me if you make it this late. I thought about going over my largest losing trades that I have in my set it and forget it account, my thought process, and my plan going forward. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, I'm happy to go over them. I have about 4 or 5 that are pretty ugly, but I have no problem sharing the ones I lose on, whether or what I make on. My attitude is as long as like an overall portfolio is doing okay, it really doesn't matter too much if some stocks are not. Anyway, like I said, um, you have to decide for yourself what your goal is with the investments you're making and possibly even separate them so that you don't get confused with this. Like what I do is I have different accounts with different purposes. My trading account is for trading. I understand I might take more risk in it. And then the set it and forget it account is supposed to be a boring stock that I don't do anything with. I've only been making these transactions because, the ultimate goal. Anyway, do me a favor if you haven't already and hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, make a bunch of comments. I love the conversations. I really appreciate you guys showing up. Um, it's a lot of fun. Anyway, have a great weekend if I don't talk to you guys. Sunday's my birthday. Saturday, I'm sure we'll go up to go snowboarding. It's the last week of lessons, and my son's already told me he wants to continue as long as possible, even without the lessons, because he's having so much fun. Maybe if I do those little things, I'll do another thing showing him snowboarding. I don't know if it was this channel or the other one. I'm really proud of how good he is. Anyway, have a great weekend. I've said anyway 6 times, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye now.